Good morning. All right, I'm here with Dr. Judith Orloff. We have a VIP in the Elephant HQ today, and we're going to talk about your new book, which is not. Oh, it looks like
right.
Yeah. Can people read that? Normally it's backward on Facebook Live, so this might be a brave new world. So, the Empath Survival Guide. So, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Again. You were here yesterday. We
Right.
had some maybe audio issues, so we're doing it again. But people couldn't get enough of it yesterday. So what is this whole empath thing about? Can you explain it to those who...
Yeah. I wanted to write the Empath Survival Guide to give empaths strategies to cope so that they could be strong and powerful and really empower their gifts. And empaths are people who are emotional sponges who tend to absorb the energy and emotions of others. But unfortunately, they can get very exhausted, depressed, anxious, and feel terrible a lot of the time. And so in order to counter that, I wanted to give people strategies because empaths don't have to feel that way. Empaths can be very empowered and out there in the world making big changes.
Could an empath be someone who deals with millions and millions of people, like a politician or something?
Well, it would be a hard job for an empath, but
Right.
I think it's doable.
Right, because right now we probably have some narcissists in charge of the world. Wouldn't it be nice to have empathetic people? So what is the difference? Most of us are empathetic to different varying degrees. An empath is something other, right? Something further level of empathy, right? It's not just
Yes.
someone who feels empathy.
Well, empaths are people very high up on the empathic spectrum. They feel everything. It's like holding something with 50 fingers instead of 5.
Uh-huh.
It's holding, you
Oh, I
feel
see.
so much.
So
Yeah, like
sensitive.
that.
Right.
Yeah, so sensitive. And so empaths don't have the same filters that other people have. And they don't have the same guards up. So when you're talking, I can feel your energy in my body.
What's my energy?
Oh, it feels nice. It feels very heart-centered.
I'm just testing. How am I doing? So that's a wonderful gift for other people too, that I can touch in with where I'm at. Often you go through a whole day without feeling your heart. And yesterday
Right.
you were talking about how empaths can touch in with their heart in a heart meditation, a 3-minute heart meditation.
Well, the heart meditation is what centers empaths
Right.
and replenishes their energy. The heart energy, which is right here in the heart chakra, which you can open up volitionally. You close your eyes with intention and you feel the energy of the heart. It's a meditation practice. And you feel it for 3 minutes. There's an exercise in the book for just 3 minutes. And you open up the heart, and the heart feels blissful and warm and nurturing and solace. And this is where you want to get to center yourself. So one of the strategies to keep empath centered is the heart meditation. And just, you're so open. I could just feel your heart when I touch you. And so it's a way of communicating with people energetically. And I want to say that that's how empaths really communicate, is energetically. Where they
Right.
feel the energy field of others around them and they respond to that. But traditional medicine doesn't believe in energy fields, so if empaths go to traditional doctors, they will be misdiagnosed and misunderstood.
When really it might just be terminology. A doctor might say you're depressed, and that's referring to your energy field on some level, right?
Yeah, but it pathologizes people.
Mm.
When you go to a
Oh, I see.
psychiatrist,
It
typically
makes it a solid condition.
there's something wrong with you.
Right.
It's a disorder
Right.
that needs to be treated rather than an experience or a sense of processing energy that needs to be dealt with, in terms of giving people strategies. I'm a psychiatrist, I'm also an empath. And so my job with my patients is to diagnose them correctly. And I give them the empath self-assessment in the beginning of
Right.
the book to ascertain if they are an empath. And if you are an empath or a partial empath, then you need to learn strategies such as setting clear boundaries with energy vampires, people who suck you dry, learning to meditate and center your energies when you start to go on sensory overload, learning visualizations and meditations.
And that's all in here.
It's all in the book.
And we went over the meditation yesterday, if you want to get a taste of that, or the self-assessment. One of my concerns as a Buddhist person who loves empathy is like every Buddhist's favorite word, is that empaths tend to kind of flip, like we do a lot of articles on this,
Yeah.
and you've done a lot on
I
elephant,
have.
thank you.
I have.
And empaths tend to flip in a way from being empathetic, full of empathy for others, to being very self-concerned about the effect of others on them.
Yes.
How does an empath continue to be empathetic despite feeling so much? So we titled this 5 Ways to Take Care of Yourself If You're an Empath. How does an empath, what are some ways they can take care of themselves so they can remain available to help this world that needs it so much?
Right. Well, that's a great question. The first thing is to be aware if you're absorbing somebody else's energy, and ask yourself that question and know that it's possible. Because a lot of empaths who are uneducated don't know that it's possible to absorb the energy of the people around you. And how do you know? You have to ask yourself the question, is this energy mine or another's? And the way to test that is to get at least 20 feet away from the person. And when you're at a distance from their energy field, the feelings will dissipate if it is them.
But what if, we all get in arguments and then we leave more than 20 feet away after the argument and we continue replaying the argument in a way that's like the contagiousness of human interactions?
Yeah, it's true. But arguments is a bit different because your mind is involved with the argument. But if you're just talking to somebody, let's say at a party, and suddenly your energy goes down, or you start feeling toxic or sick, or your eyelids get heavy, then go 20 feet away from them and see how you feel. But that's just one.
Right,
one
like
way.
when I'm around Taya, I feel stressed out. I feel kind of put upon, very unhealthy. And right now I feel fine because I'm like 15 feet away from her. So I'd really love to encourage people, jump in, feel free to ask any questions. So that's one way to take care of yourself, to be able to figure out if it's their kind of deal or your deal.
Right.
To walk away, maybe, to create some space.
Yeah, to create some space. And another is to set a boundary. For instance, if you are cornered by a chronic talker who corners you at a party and starts telling you their life story.
Everyone here wants to know how to handle that person who won't be quiet.
Right. Yeah. They're the most draining people to me as an empath.
Yeah.
It's tough because they start up and you see they're not going to stop.
Yeah.
And so nothing works in terms of clearing your throat or taking 2 steps backward, as they'll take 2 steps forward in your face. And they don't have a sense of personal space because they're right on top of you.
And as you were saying yesterday in our video, they don't pick up visual cues. They just keep drowning you in words.
With words. And it feels like a machine gun attacking me with the words. Yeah. That's my experience. And empaths usually panic when they're around a chronic talker because they have no idea how to deal with it. And what you have to do is say, I'm sorry to interrupt you, and they'll keep going. You say, I'm so sorry, I've got to go. Thank you for sharing that. And I have to go to the bathroom if anything else. If you can't think of anything else, just go to the bathroom.
Yeah. My trick, because this is hard to handle for myself and I'm not very shy, despite not being very shy, it's still hard for me to get out of that, like force field or web of blah, blah, blah. Is I just mutter something and walk off. Like they literally, you realize these people actually don't care if you're there or not. They're just kind of talking. And they don't care what your excuse is. If you just leave, they'll find someone else to blah, blah, blah on.
They will, but the chronic talkers find the empaths because empaths are such good listeners. And they're so compassionate and they're so loving, and they wear an invisible sign saying, I can help you.
So this isn't an incursion for empaths to stop caring about those people. It's, the talkers and whatever their issue that is making them talk constantly. But it's a way for empaths not to be a doormat, right?
Right. And it's so important for empaths to set boundaries with people. It's okay not to be around chronic talkers if you can avoid them.
Right.
Or it's okay if a family member is a chronic talker and you say, I'd really like to get a word in edgewise and I don't know how to interrupt you.
Right.
But the way you talk about these things is key. You don't want to say, I'm so sick of you not letting me in this conversation. I hate it. You don't really want to say that because you won't get a good response. You say, I really love you and I really want to share in this conversation. I'd appreciate it if you could let me in.
I was recently in LA and I was, I have to interview people, or I get to, But it's really hard when you interview someone who just wants to monologue their PR spiel, and they don't actually care if you're there or not, really. And so I was interviewing this really famous person, and he just kind of wobbled, and he also didn't really make sense. It was just sort of, it was hard for the listeners because they were excited. He was famous, but he wasn't making sense, and I couldn't really interrupt, and it was one of the very few times I kind of just tried, but I completely
wouldn't
failed.
stop.
I just failed. Yeah, it was tough. Anyway, so I'm empathetic about that. All right. So those are a couple ways. Maybe we could touch in with a question.
Yeah.
Here's Sheila. I think you were here yesterday. I often have trouble identifying where I end and others begin in terms of energetic distance. I find creating some physical distance is helpful. I've had it happen in grocery store lines. I start by changing my stance and making it wider and putting one foot outward while standing waiting. This prevents the energy vampires from getting in my personal space zone. So yeah, you like that.
That's good. Posture is a way of handling energy, because if you're facing right towards somebody, your energy, you're aligning with them, you're available, right? And if the closer you are to someone, the more you're going to feel them. So if you could point away in a line, that would be helpful. But another thing I suggest in a line, and this might seem counterintuitive, if you start channeling heart energy in those lines where everybody's uptight and aggressive and pushing and wanting to get out of there, if you start channeling the heart energy instead of constricting and going inside, everybody relaxes and then the line goes faster. Yeah. It's amazing. Have you ever experimented with that?
Well, I love lines personally because I'm very busy and speedy often, even without realizing it. And when I'm in a line, again, from sort of the Buddhist point of view, it's an opportunity to appreciate your life and just stop and look around, see the children, see the people interacting. It's interesting. It's like a moment of gap between two activities. So I love it. I never am on my phone. I always just, it cheers me up. I maybe have a random interaction with someone and it gives me energy actually for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But what happens with empaths is, like, if you have, let's say a mother with 3 young children, and they're running around with a lot of commotion and screaming and squealing, and you're standing there, just feeling like you want to get out of there, and you're absorbing all that energy. That's hard for empaths.
But you're saying don't retreat. Maybe feel your heart or feel compassion for the mom trying her best. As opposed to getting into anger, judgment. Shine some heart energy, and you'd be surprised at how it calms everything down and it makes you feel better. I try to play with the kids and make faces, like often when they're just like trying to cry, and then if you distract them, they forget, and they get all happy, and then the mom or the dad is like, appreciative.
Right.
And it's just your random little interaction, and often in Western society we're isolated from the elderly or children. You have this moment of wholesome kind of silliness.
Well, that's a beautiful way of looking at lines. But
empaths, I realize everyone's different.
Everyone is different, but empaths, I want to say, have a difficult time going in big grocery stores, like Whole Foods, because they're so big and so many lines. And in Los Angeles, they're very aggressive people.
I know Whole Foods in LA.
Oh God, I have to brace myself to go in there with the shopping carts. They're very aggressive, and so. It's an exercise.
I need to buy my organic food and be wholesome and healthy and harmonious for the planet. Get out of my way.
Yeah, and they cut you off in the parking lot. So exactly. It's like that video Whole Foods.
Yeah, we blogged that up a couple of years ago. I love that guy.
But these are empaths deal with all of this, and they just get
Whole Foods in the parking lot. Got to put that link in.
But they deal with that in very practical situations. These could be stressful. As an empath, I prefer smaller markets.
Right.
I prefer going to Irvine in LA, which is a smaller, but they're pretty aggressive there too. It's a vegan market.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really
nice.
Good.
I like Vitamin Cottage Natural Grocers now. It's all kind of, you feel like you just went to 1979.
Yeah, you do.
Everyone's sort of hippie and kind of chill. And Whole Foods, everyone's sort of beautiful and aggressive and like their Lexuses are running in
And
the
they're
parking
dressed
lot.
in their yoga costumes, and
Right.
they're all dressed up. I mean, I don't know, all the
Yeah.
effort that people make to do that.
That's
They
funny.
just, I could barely make it to the market, get my food, and go home sometimes.
So a way to cope with that, maybe, again, that might be another way to take care of yourself, is go to a smaller, maybe more
Yeah.
personal, intimate market.
Yeah, that's a
Go to
lot
individual
easier.
little shops instead of the big mega stores.
Right, and the same is true for shopping, where I prefer, as an empath, going to little boutique shops rather than Nordstrom's, let's say. Because going into a shopping mall, you feel all the energy of the people in the crowds. And empaths often don't do well with that. But one strategy to use is to go to a bench in the mall, to sit there, do the 3-minute meditation, eat a small protein meal, because that's grounding for empaths, is to use food to ground. Don't eat a candy bar or something that will give you a sugar rush before you go
Eat
in.
healthy. Eat real,
Eat
sustaining
protein,
food.
sustainable food, but protein.
But sustaining is
Yes,
what I meant.
yes, sustaining energetically in your body,
Right.
so that you can feel the energy. As an empath, I eat for energy. And there's a chapter in the book on empaths and food and addictions, because food is so important. Empaths often become food addicts. And they become very obese. Some of them, like the faith healers of the 20th century, they were 300-pound women, and they claimed they needed to have that fat on them in order to not absorb their patient's energy.
Wow.
I know, and it works. Fat works,
Right.
but it's not a healthy coping mechanism. But I've talked to a lot of them, and they swear they won't give it up. They swear that's the only way that they can, deal with it. I spoke at Lilydale, which is in Western New York, and it's a community of mediums in the summer. And they would give talks out in the forest, and they literally had to haul one medium on a cart out to, out to the forest to give.
Yeah, that's no fun, probably.
Well, she's
for
so
the medium. Yeah.
No, she was she seemed adjusted to it, but it's just the point. If you're an empath and you turn to food and you're putting on weight and diets fail that you've tried, then there's an energetic piece to overeating. That's key. And so there's a chapter in the book on empaths and food. Because one thing I suggest is to keep a meditation pillow by the refrigerator, so that instead of reaching for the food, you can sit and center yourself and try and bring your energy back together, which is the key for empath. It's taking charge of your own energy instead of just getting frustrated, having your energy dissipate and going on sensory overload. You can bring it back down. This is what I do in my own practice, because meditation is my primary practice.
Nice.
I meditate every day, but I meditate 3 minutes throughout the day, because I get thrown off at times.
Right.
And I can intuitively feel that, so I've trained myself to sense it. I've always had a body that tells me right away if something's off.
And it's a gift and a curse in a way, right?
Yeah,
It's a superpower in a way. It's like the X-Men have these superpowers, but it also is a weight on them.
It can be, and it's stopped me from making bad decisions, because I'll get nauseated or get some physical symptom if I'm going in a wrong decision.
Right.
But it also, I need to listen to it right away. Otherwise, it can amplify pretty quickly as an empath. And so I listen to my body, and I bring myself back together. I can't emphasize strongly enough how important it is as an empath to gain that skill through meditation, through feeling energy in your heart, and bringing your energy, which is going like this, all over the place, back to center. And feeling that, it's a form of empowerment, because you have power over your own energy then, and you're not just a victim of the energies all around you.
So 2 questions I would have. One about diet is, would it be important then to try to eat organic? Because I would think if you're empathic, an empath, eating chemicals or literally poisons is probably, in a way, you're almost more sensitive. And then maybe that's an obvious question. And then the second question would be, which we touched on yesterday, is it important to maybe eat less or no animals if there's some suffering in there?
Well, it depends on each person. I suggest in the book that people really tune into their own bodies and whether or not they eat animals. Some people do need that kind of protein, but some people don't, and they feel the suffering of the animals when they eat. And so that's, of course, intolerable, and you don't want to be eating animals if you're feeling that way. But in terms of chemical sensitivities, empaths often have chemical sensitivities. Now, I was in a hotel the other night and I was tired and I just wanted to go to sleep. And I walk in, the bed looks so comfortable, and suddenly I smell this chemical coming from the rug. I'm like, oh no, I just want to go to sleep, but I can't sleep in this room because it's a chemical. And of course, nobody else smells it.
Right.
You know, but I changed my room. It was late at night. I changed the room. So I was,
good for you. And that's having
Yeah.
some boundaries or respect for your needs that other people might say, oh, you're being high maintenance or weird or
right, or I don't smell it. Well, I
Right.
don't, and they look at you kind of funny. They're trying to be nice,
Right.
but you know, oftentimes if you're an empath, people will say you're the only one feeling it, where you're the only one smelling the smell, or you're the only one having that side effect to a medication. But, you know, I just want you to know it doesn't matter if nobody else is feeling it. You are the one that's feeling it, and that's what's important. I've been in that position so many times as an empath, you know, where people say, well, no one else is feeling it, meaning I shouldn't feel it if no one else is feeling it. And,
yeah.
you know, you just have to be ready for that and realize that you're feeling it, and that's what counts.
Nice. One plug I would make, because I'm biased, I'm vegan, is I would think that eating something you killed, you know, as part of your diet would be tough if you're an empath. Is often people eat vegan who complain about lack of protein. You can't just, you know, a healthy vegan diet isn't just taking off the protein and eating the white rice or the bread. Like you have to have a balanced meal, and it can actually be even healthier if you do it right, because obviously animals eat animals often, and you're eating a lot of toxins in there.
Right.
So just a little plug, you know, you can try a balanced, healthy vegan diet.
Right, and also organic versus processed, as you can feel. If you just do a test, this is what I suggest to my patients: go taste a homegrown tomato, and then see how you feel in your body. Then go get one of those plastic ones at the market, and then see how that feels in your body. And then you could see intuitively the difference.
Yeah.
But begin to test out foods for empaths. You want to eat for energy. So you want food to augment your energy so you're not drained. And food can strengthen your core. So food is an essential part of for an empath's well-being, to really assess the food. And if you find you're a food addict, that's okay, but learn to develop other strategies other than eating. And you don't need fat to buffer yourself. Fat does buffer pain, and it does slow down the absorption.
Comforting. Yeah.
It's comforting, but it's also mass, just plain mass. You're a tank, you know.
It's funny, in the Tibetan tradition, like my teacher used to be kind of plump, and when he would go to Tibet, all the Tibetans there, his family or his peers would say, oh, good, you're healthy, you're happy, you know. And then he started running marathons, he got really fit, and they thought something was wrong with him because he seemed very thin, even though he was in great shape.
Yeah.
It's just funny culturally.
But I want to say on the other end, when people get too thin and they're not eating adequately, they don't have the buffer for negative energy. And so the patients I've treated with eating disorders are just absorbing it left and right, and that's aggravating their eating disorders.
You want to be grounded.
Yeah, you want to have a balance. You want to have enough substance in your body, and you want your body to be strong, because an empath who sits at a desk all the time and just has their feet dangling down and doesn't do any movement, then they're more apt to absorb energy from others.
So we talked yesterday about how this world, with all its wonderfulness, but also all of its challenges and its fear and its hate and all this, really needs empaths now more than ever. So just another encouragement, I'm seeing a lot of comments, which is good, about people talking about trying to take care of themselves. But empaths need to not just shut down, not just look at your phone and walk around and avoid looking at people, but somehow like read this book and learn how to be a powerful empath, as you were saying, and help this world.
Absolutely. The gifts of an empath. We need you now. We need your empathy. You're the people who will save the world. And so hopefully this book will give you the strategies to feel more comfortable in your own skin. You need to go out there and do what you can for your own self and others. Because if you, the empaths, are hiding out, then all that light is hidden. But your gifts are many. You have intuition, you have compassion, you love to go deep with people.
But the flip side is, if you don't know how to take care of yourself, you'll become a shut down empath who's afraid of the world, and then you can't use your gifts for the world.
You can't use it if you're suffering from being an empath.
Right.
You can't use your gifts, but when you feel comfortable, and let me tell you, you will be able to feel comfortable. I want to assure everyone that who
Because you're
doesn't.
an empath, you're running around doing a book tour.
Yeah, I am, but I fiercely set boundaries with people. I fiercely take care of my own time. I meditate in the hotel rooms. I rest. I take baths. I'm constantly.
You take care of yourself.
I do my very best. I'm so motivated because I want to be out there to spread the message, and I can't spread the message if I'm feeling off.
Yeah, that's like in sports. You wouldn't think most sports people are empaths particularly, but they have to take care of themselves night and day. They have to get massages for bruised muscles or tendons or whatever. They have to eat right. They spend all day taking care of themselves. They have to.
Wow.
So in the same way, an empath has to, right? You're an athlete of the heart.
Yeah, but not over vigilant. I've seen empaths get so over vigilant where every twinge,
keep a sense of humor. Or
keep a sense of humor. Keep it light. Empaths are very playful, and they have a big inner child, and they love animals. So empaths need to play a lot. And they need to get out in nature and play and let out your innocent child who's in there, who isn't guarded, who isn't cynical.
So that's another thing. Get out in nature, play. Remember your sense of humor and light touch.
Light touch and earthing. Right. Get near the earth. Really roll around on the earth. Put your feet on the earth. Put your hand on a tree. I mean, truly, the tree will give you energy. Because empaths know that we're connected to all sentient beings. We know that everyone is connected in one big matrix and web. And so if you can open up your beautiful sensitivities to that, and you begin to feel the blissful interconnection of all things. I mean, this is a higher consciousness. It's not, we're talking about mundane level, how to take care of yourself, very important. But one of the rewards is that you get to feel all this connection. Right. It's real. You're not just in your head. You're not a disembodied head living from here up. You're a full body awareness of life. And it feels incredible. The connection, the passion, the intuitions that you can have. Being a plant empath, learning to commune with plants, or an animal empath, learning to talk to animals and loving animals. I was with a friend of mine who made dinner for me yesterday, and his little doggie was jumping all over me. And he said, I'll take your doggie away. I said, no, I need that now.
Yeah, after a long day, right?
No, I need that dog love,
Exactly.
Because I respond to that. And that really helped me.
But a lot of us do the opposite. We try to shut down. Like this morning I was biking around, which I love. Biking opens me up and I look at stuff. Yeah. And I'm biking to work and I see someone, at least a few people driving and on their phones at the same time. And we try to fill all the space, and then we just live up here.
Yeah.
And we're not open and available.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. You want to shut down sometimes, or be efficient, or get stuff done, or whatever.
Yeah, well, that brings up a good point, where empaths have the choice of whether to have their energy field totally open or more close to the center. Right. You're not always open. Right. You have a choice. Once you learn how to move your energy, you can hold it in a bit more. It's a choice.
Right, if you're traveling or something, you can be a little more. But that doesn't mean, I think it's a particular pet peeve of mine between the Buddha stuff and the bicycling and nearly getting run over 5 times a day. Like, people are multitasking while doing the most dangerous thing they'll ever do, which is driving. Scary. Like maybe empaths particularly could lead the charge in being, empathetic that they're driving and trying to take care of their own safety and others.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that's true. Yeah. And empaths often have a difficult time with driving freeways. For instance, I can't drive the LA freeways.
It's intense.
It's too much for me. I can't process it all. Yeah. All the lines of cars whizzing, and they're all crazy driving. Yeah. I just can't do it. And I kind of accepted that about myself. And I've worked with empath patients who supposedly have driving phobias. And I don't think it's exactly that. It's not as if you have to figure out how to do it, but I think it's fine to take the side streets and do Uber. I mean, I think that's a fine coping mechanism. I don't think you have to force yourself to do these.
You don't have to guilt trip yourself.
No.
That's great.
No.
Yeah, I used to have to drive in Boston and New York City, and it's chaotic. It's different than LA traffic jams, but it's like everyone's trying to cut in.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But empaths need to be loving with themselves. It's okay. A lot of these things, and empaths also don't like small talk. That's a big thing. They don't like to chit chat. It's very hard. And I had to accept that about myself. If I go to a party and let's say I don't feel a connection really there, I can't really talk much. I can only talk if I feel a connection. That's just how I am. And I think a lot of empaths are like that. A lot of introverted empaths are like that. There are extroverted empaths who love to do small talk.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess that rules me out because I love small
You love
talk.
small
Oh, but you
talk?
just said, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's been a couple questions on hypothyroidism.
Mm-hmm.
Can you touch on that?
Yeah, hypothyroidism can affect your energy, and especially if you're an empath with hypothyroidism, you have the thyroid not functioning properly, which makes you tired. Plus, as an empath, you're absorbing energy in if you don't have strategies, which
Right.
make you tired. So I really recommend that everybody who has low energy get your thyroid tested because the thyroid has to be balanced, and there are ways of easily balancing it. So you don't want to be fighting against that. You know, there are easy ways to balance your thyroid. The only thing to be aware of is that integrative practitioners have different sets of normals than traditional practitioners, where they say traditional practitioners say it's okay to have a higher TSH, which is the regulating hormone in the pituitary, and integrative say it has to be below 2 rather than 4. So it's a whole different perspective about tuning the body. So yes, have your thyroid checked out, definitely, if you have low energy. It's an easy thing to fix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Call your doctor. So there was a question from Kate Ferguson about how to ground yourself during the day. Maybe things are intense, things are speedy, all that. How do you ground yourself?
Well, a beautiful visualization that I love is visualizing a tree going through your body and the roots going through the bottom of your feet and then earthing in the ground and going. You could even go deep into the center of the earth, but feel that centering. Feel that centering. When you want to feel it. Feel the earth kind of helping you to strengthen.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Buddhism, we do a practice where you connect with the earth and you do a sort of little, kind of touch in with the earth, sort of like the roots of a tree. You touch in with the heavens, which is the realm of vision or mission or ideas, and then you connect with your heart in between. You bring the two together, and then you kind of project outward and open up.
Beautiful. Yes, heaven, earth, and
After
I. Right.
Yeah.
I know my primary practice is Taoism.
Nice.
And so,
I'm sure there's some similarities.
There's some similarities, but nature is a huge part of our practice, is connecting to those cycles of nature. And empaths love that. The empaths that I've taught to do full moon meditations and new moon meditations, special prayers and special reverence on those days for the phases of light. It's very powerful because empaths' bodies are open to that energy. Sometimes the full moon can be too intense for empaths. It makes them very agitated.
Yeah. It's a wild night.
It is a wild night.
Yeah.
And when I used to work in emergency rooms, people would come in crazy on that night. There'd be so many more suicide attempts and so many more psychotic episodes, and everyone in the hospital knew that that's what was happening.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting? So people respond to the phases of the moon. And so empaths in particular respond to phases and also solar flares. Empaths are very sensitive to solar flares. And it's been known that revolutions happen during times of intense solar flares.
Huh.
And,
I wonder what something closer to home like climate change is, the world heating up and getting colder and more storms and
it's a sickening feeling in an empath's body to feel anything of the earth being polluted. Right. And personally, when I hear of the policies that are changing that affect the earth, it sickens my body because I feel like the creeks and the rivulets are part of my circulatory system. I mean, I'm not exaggerating about that.
One of my favorite poems, many people know it, John Donne, No Man is an Island. He says, when anything is affected, I feel it. And I love that.
Well, he was an empath.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's a delight being around you and your wonderful energy.
Thank you.
It's very grounding and heart-opening. Thank you for coming back. I think this was, again, quite popular, and hopefully people enjoyed it, appreciated it, got something helpful out of it. And my plug would just be don't withdraw into yourself as empaths. Really, the world needs you right now.
Yes.
So this book can help you learn how to take care of yourself and protect yourself while being a gentle fearless warrior.
Absolutely. Fearless warriors, empaths, are fearless warriors.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. And you can see also our other videos also on youtube.com/elephantjournal. As soon as I hang up, you can click to get notifications for all our future videos. You can get Judith's book. The link is in the comments right there, drjudithorloff.com. And thank you again.
You're welcome.